The Forgotten Way. But there was a secret place at the edge of the city of man, down a narrow little road, a place no one ever wanted to go or even know about, so they didn't. Out of sight, out of mind, they thought. At the end of the narrow little road, in the secret place, they built a great house with many rooms inside. And in the middle of this great house was a great hall with many doors. And through each door was a tiny room inside. There was no beauty at all in this house, and almost no color. It was a sad and cold and lonely looking place, a place you could forget. This was the place they put forgotten ones that were not strong enough or smart enough to build great things anymore, or know great things or have great things. It was a place for ones that could not look perfect or beautiful or fit in anywhere anymore. And so they named the narrow little road that led to the secret place Forgotten Way, because it was, and because they were. And they decided to name that big house on Forgotten Way. They called it the OH, short and secret for Orphan House. And they named all the forgotten ones in all the tiny rooms orphans, because that is where they lived and who they had become. Some orphans had great loss of wealth, once towering over people in the city of man, full of great things and knowing it all. They were crushed by someone stronger. They were weak and empty, so they felt, and so they were. Lost in themselves in a tiny room. Some orphans had great loss of control, once having the perfect home full of perfect things and perfect people, was crushed by someone more perfect with better things. They were weak and empty, so they felt, and so they were. Lost in themselves in a tiny room. Some orphans had great loss of fun and happiness, once going the fastest, laughing the hardest, and tasting the sweetest, was crushed by someone more fearless, passionate, and daring. They were weak and empty. So they felt, and so they were, lost in themselves in a tiny room. Some orphans had great loss of family, once having a growing fairy tale family, looking the happiest, having the most, were crushed by someone who was better at the game. A better pretend husband, a better pretend wife came along, and it was all over. They were weak, empty, and all alone. So they felt, and so they were, lost in themselves in a tiny room. The OH was the place where you were put when you reached the end of what you can do, and self is all that you have. A place where hope runs out and darkness settles in. It's the end of the road on Forgotten Way. In a gray and weary land, the secret place that nobody goes. Until one day, there was a knock on the door of a tiny room.